This is a follow-up to my video about Roadhog. If you haven't already seen it, I'd highly recommend that you do. Judging by some of the feedback I received on the video, I think I need to clarify a few things. I do not think Roadhog should be reworked because I'm bad or because he's overpowered. I think he should be reworked because he's a feast or famine character that is only ever fun for the Roadhog player. If Roadhog is consistently landing his hooks, he's a nightmare to play against, and if he's not, he's a nightmare to play with. He's in the same boat as Widow and Hanzo, where they all completely rely on their one-shots to get any value. Obviously, Hanzo and Widow are damage heroes, so their weaknesses are far different, but the point still stands. Also, before I get into responding to comments, I want to note the balance changes that Hog received after that video. Roadhog received a few changes, one very good change, one meh change, and one bad change. To start with the positives, Hog's Invigorate perk, which used to grant him movement speed during Take a Breather, was removed, and replaced with a new perk that heals all allies near him during Take a Breather. This is a fantastic change as it allows Hog to directly benefit his teammates while dampening his ability to run away or chase people. Hog's hook cooldown was also changed from 6 seconds to 8 seconds, which sure makes him weaker, but doesn't really fix any of the problems with his kit. He's now even more reliant on actually landing the hooks. For the final and worst change, they increased his reload time. This doesn't really make Hog any less annoying to play against, rather it just makes him more annoying to play as, and almost entirely forces you to take his perk that reloads his ammo upon landing hooks. So overall, a giant leap in the right direction with 2 steps back. Before I continue, I want to say that I am not hating on anyone in this video, nor am I encouraging anyone to send hate to these people. Please do not do that. I promise you that Overwatch is not that serious. I just want to have a peaceful and considerate discussion. Thank you. As a Hog main, I can say people crying about Hog being unfair or broken are just too blind to learn the counterplay. Hog is not only map dependent most of the time, but his one-shot combo is sometimes very hard to pull off in some teams. Hog can get slept, booped, and etc. during his hook, which messes the combo up as well as his take a breather. His hook is also limited to a range of 20 meters, not like Hanzo or Widow, who can do it from any range, with the only requirement being a headshot, as well as these two heroes also having mobility while Hog doesn't. I mean, theoretically, a Widow can headshot and insta-kill 4 people in the same time Hook can get 1 hook, which, yes, it's easier to hook someone, but it's also more risky. Like I said earlier in the video, Hanzo and Widow also suffer from feast or famine one-shot-itis, where they're only fun for the player if they're landing their shots, and miserable for the other 9 people in the lobby. It doesn't necessarily matter how good the heroes are, they could be awful, but having heroes with one-shot abilities that completely rely on them to get any value is just not good game design. He just feels like he's unkillable in both 5v5 and 6v6. Most of the time he's just an annoying piece of meat that you can just shoot, but then you forget for 1 second, get hooked, and insta-killed. Hog is miserable to play against because you can only really engage as a squishy once and if he's missed his hook, which now leaves you with about 8 seconds to unload into his team. Hope you kill at least a few people, and find cover before he hooks you. Also, because of his self-heal, Hog has a tendency to win lopsided matchups depending on the enemy team. For instance, if it's, say, a Lucio and an Onron versus any tank, they can eventually just whittle them down in the 2v1. However, against Hog, they have to play super defensively as they can't deal enough damage to kill him, and any misstep will result in death. Killing a Hog relies on either dumping every single ability into him and his supports, or relies on the Hog's lack of skill. Hey, if you're enjoying the video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. I make Overwatch content about the heroes, design, balance, etc. So if any of that interests you, please consider subscribing. Thank you. I've been playing this godforsaken game almost every night since I started playing in 2017. Back in 6v6, Hog was annoying still, but not super oppressive. The lower health pool and his heal being on a cooldown meant that there were clear windows of time where it could be focused and killed. Some heroes, like Wrecking Ball or Zarya, sometimes struggled in 5v5 and didn't transition well to being a solo tank, but they are still viable in some scenarios. Hog, on the other hand, straight up does not work in the solo tank format, if you ask me. His method of tanking in 5v5 is just not dying, like, ever. Forget the enemy DPS. If they have a good Hog, the enemy supports can just focus on keeping him alive and win by doing absolutely nothing. And it's not like you can dive the enemy supports and kill them either, because their tub of lard will turn around, grab you melee mart style, and deposit a round of scrap metal into your forehead. He doesn't die, he makes sure his supports don't die. Game over, man. Roadhog has consistently been my most hated hero since I started playing, and it's so vindicating to finally see other people agreeing. Yeah, Hog literally just is not a tank. He's a gigantic, fat DPS who deletes you on sight. He doesn't grab aggro by committing onto your team or running you down, he grabs aggro because if you don't kill him, he will immediately delete one of your squishies. The kit reworks you suggested were a bit interesting, but they'd never work because they fundamentally change his entire identity. If you remove his hook, he's not Roadhog anymore. If you remove Poison Mine and a completely different ult, you removed over half his kit and he's just a completely new character. First off, I've never said you should remove his hook. Secondly, they've done changes like this for Symmetra and I guess Doomfist. And finally, maybe Roadhog's identity isn't healthy for the game. The unanimous consensus is that the game is better off when Roadhog is unviable. This means that for a majority of the player base to be happy, this hero has to be in a constant state of being awful, which also sucks for the Roadhog players who are forced to play a terrible hero. His healing, in my opinion, is the worst aspect of him. You can hardly punish him because instead of a cooldown like early Overwatch 2, it's now a resource that can be used in a second. It's dumb. The only other tank in the game with a defense ability on a meter is d.va with her Matrix, which, while very strong, does have its fair set of weaknesses. She can only Matrix what she's looking at. She has a headshot hitbox right in the middle of her body, which means that without Matrix, she's taking far more damage than most tanks, and Matrix can't block many abilities and attacks. Take a Breather, on the other hand, only has the downside of being able to be stunned out of it, which doesn't matter all too much because you can just activate it again once the stun is over. Seems like someone got hooked off the map one too many times. Look, if I made videos purely based on what happened to me in games, I'd make a video on Hanzo and his accidental headshots, but that's a conversation for another day. To be honest, I also do have an issue with Kiriko and Cass, because they're kind of levels of Roadhog, to be honest. Cass shouldn't be long range because Pistol shouldn't be long range, and Kiriko is set up badly in terms of kit and how she is played. She is a literal escape card. Cass is such an interesting hero design-wise because he's great at mid-range, shockingly fantastic at close range, but completely and utterly worthless at long range with no real mobility or sustain. He's purely min-max for damage and CC. Kiriko, on the other hand, just has her cake and eats it too, or I guess in her case like 20 different cakes because she can just do everything. So again, to summarize, I don't hate Roadhog. I don't think he's a bad hero because he's too good or I'm not good at the game. I genuinely don't believe he's a very well designed hero, and I think the game is better off when he's weak, which signals that he should get a rework. Thank you all for watching the video. By the time this video goes live, I will be done college for the year, which means I'll be back to putting out higher quality uploads like a Ramacha video I have planned soon. Again, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing, and I hope you all have a good day or night. See ya!